Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jack Bullman.
And how are you, Elizabeth Adams?
Very well, thank you.
Good
Very
to
well.
hear. Now, just a little bit here. I don't know where CJ is at the moment, so
Okay.
um, he's probably hasn't paid his internet bill again, and you know. No, I don't know where he is. I don't. I he asked me if we were on before, and I said yes, we're on. We've got the amazing Elizabeth Adams on, and maybe he's daunted by that. You never know
So
with
it should
CJ,
be.
and so he should be. Yes, yes. All right. So I'm going to quickly just acknowledge countries. So I just want to acknowledge traditional custodians where we all work, meet, and play, and pay the utmost respects to all our elders, past, present, and any up and coming. And I just thank our old people, our ancestors, and all our spirit guides for getting us where we are today, and all the hard work that they've done, and just acknowledge them. So, and I also want to acknowledge my mob, the Muddy Muddy people, down there in southwestern New South Wales, and pay respects to all our old people. And I also sitting on, we're in Pittsburgh, so I'm sitting on Guyable country. I just want to acknowledge them as well for allowing us here. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you now, Lizzie. Um, you don't need any introduction. You've been on a couple of times before, and but it has been a little while since you've been on.
It has been, yes. Yes.
Over to you, Elizabeth.
Over to me. Okay, Jack. But I too would like to acknowledge our traditional owners on the lands across our nation, our elders past, present and emerging, but also to those who have gone before us who've paved the way for me to be able to sit here and have this conversation with you tonight. As we were talking the other day, there's been a bit on my mind. I follow a bit of social media and just around probably the welcome to country. I mean, we all have our own beliefs, but I'm interested to see what other people think and feel because. When they use in some training I've been to, and they've referred to, you don't walk into somebody's house without being invited and welcomed and that sort of stuff. And I personally feel that in our culture, while it may not have been welcome to country in those words, we had our own way of letting people cross when we're coming into to their lands. So yeah, I was just more curious to see what people's thoughts were around that. I don't want to, have a big debate and.
Well, I think it's a really good topic, though, Lizzie.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the thing is, I think it's a little bit misunderstood. The welcome to country. That's my understanding anyway. And some people think that it's a welcome to Australia when we say welcome to country, and that's not the case, is it?
No, and that's my understanding too. So, it's our individual traditional owner lands. When we were crossing over them, they would have had, our own language in welcoming them to walk through or come in, all that stuff. So, yeah, I just it's just a little bit upsetting, I guess, sometimes when people say, it was only brought in for commercialising and all that sort of stuff. But again, that's just my own opinion, and I'm sure some people out there will say, well, what does she know? And she's a coconut and this, that, and other, because you have a difference of opinion. But it's exactly that. And in my work industry and in my working life, like people ask you the question, and that's how I respond. It's a lot of in on social media quite predominantly, I guess.
And there is a lot of education that needs to be done around this because people, and I'm only talking from my experience, and
Yeah.
I'm not talking for all black fellas, and I'm talking from my experience and what's happened. It is. It is. I think it's been misunderstood, and I think that to try and get that back now, there's a whole, as always, there's a fear base there. So like
Yeah.
you and I and our whoever we work with, we come from that love space, that heart healing space, and it is really hard to be able to. People get really fearful, and we've had a lot of that in the last 5 or 6 years. We've had COVID, where it was all fear based. It was very fear based. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's real, but it was fear based. Then we had the referendum, and now we've got
Yeah.
this. So I think with the referendum and it been a little bit disappointing for us not to be able to get that up, just to have that voice. I think this has created a whole new level of racism, if you like.
Yeah, yeah, correct. And and like I said, I listen to a lot of different Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people's social media when they're talking about these issues. And there was another one that was referring to when we're saying this is what has happened in our past to get to today. It's not about us blaming those people,
Correct.
because it's just that we're trying to make people aware on how it got to this in today's society.
Yeah.
It's not saying that you personally are to blame. It's like the the apology. Like that was really significant for a lot of
You're
people,
talking about
including
the
us.
Kevin Rudd 2008 apology, yeah?
Yeah, yeah. And well, even that then was thrown around and like making fun of in the newer generation, I guess. And sorry, I've got to say sorry now. Well, no, you're not genuine about it. You don't want to understand why the apology was given, but you want to make fun of it. And and I don't categorize people or stereotype people, but I see people that I've grown up with in the non-Indigenous people who I thought was my friends and understood, and aware of Aboriginal people. Well, to be, friends with them, you would need to understand or be aware a little bit of, the sensitivity and all that stuff. But the amount of people that share the racist stuff on social media that I see, and I think, wow, I thought you were my friend. Like, and or we all can better ourselves, but then they think they're the elite. I don't get it, and that's not me judging. That's just me seeing what's been put on social media, and I think, wow, you've shared that around Indigenous people and speak ill of it, and yet you supposedly my friend.
Yeah.
So,
And I guess it is really heartbreaking, isn't it? It's
yeah,
we're taught these days not to take things personally, but when you got those sort of people that are in your life and in your work life and all that sort of stuff, it does make it hard to actually understand where they're coming from, I guess. And
yeah, yeah,
again, is it coming from a fear base? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a real hard one. I mean, like you do your community work as we do, and like it's such a blessed place to be. We're so grateful to be able to do that sort of work, and we love our communities.
yeah,
But to hear those sort of those sort of comments and those sort of understandings of what it's about, it makes it really hard. It does make it really hard.
yeah, yeah. So no, I just sort of thought, you grow up and you think racism isn't there because they're your friend, only to learn in your adult life that is that the true thought, like all the way along, or they're jumping on the bandwagon, or our black people are drunks, drug addicts, bludgers, all that stuff, right? But then they don't acknowledge how did that get to be, because that's not our culture.
I guess, I mean, look, we see a lot of it in both the work that we do. And, look, we talk about colonisation, and yes, it was a while back, but it's not about just building a bridge and getting over it, is it? It's about understanding, and you spoke about it before, and it really is about acknowledgement. That's what we want, is acknowledgement rather than anything else. To be, that's what it's about, acknowledgement and understanding. That I guess, look, even when we talk about, the massacre sites and that sort of stuff, it's about acknowledgement and about, those sort of things. Everyone else has their remembrance days and those sort of things, and it's not about competing with those, but it's about acknowledging our history as well.
Yeah, correct.
I'm just waiting for CJ. He said he's there, but he's I can't see him anywhere. Can you see him?
I can't see anything on my end.
No. So, Lizzie, tell us a little bit about what you're up to at the moment.
With work?
With anything, Doc.
Oh, with anything. Look, a lot's going on, Jack. Last week we had our state conference in Toowoomba with the Queensland Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Child Protection Peak. We, first time it was taken regionally. It's normally outside, not outside of the urban areas. So we took it regionally, and we had a fantastic attendance. We thought we'd sort of work around 150, but we got 290.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty big and well attended. And then, what else have I been doing? With the Jaden Adams Foundation.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we, with the Men Wellness Program and Strong Minds, Strong Spirits, we had our first group meeting yesterday, and it was just beautiful. It was just like these, young men sitting around the table, identifying what their strengths are and where they want to be. So that's going really, really, really good. And Goulbury, we're doing our thing. It's growing. I think we're up to 100 staff now.
Yeah, wow.
And all based in the relevant communities that we service. So that's going really well. So I got to say it's really good at the moment. Other than the weather, of course, it's a bit.
It's a little bit chatty at the moment, isn't it?
It is. My family have been flooded in out at in southwest Queensland, there in Charleville and surrounding areas. Our family in Cunnamulla, all over the southwest, and the waters are rising up. That's probably the only worry, that we have at the moment. But no, on the big scale, it's I think life's pretty cruisy at the minute.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I'm just trying to deal with CJ. He said he's on there, but I can't see him anywhere. So I'm not sure where he's on. But sometimes CJ gets a little bit carried away up there in Cairns, and he might be out on the beach or something, laying down. So
I think it's up, but it's raining up there too, isn't it? Is it raining up that way?
I think it's raining everywhere on the eastern coast, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Gladstone, Rocky,
Yeah.
So, but no.
Now, tell us a little bit about your travel plans. You got travel plans?
Have I got travel plans?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've got for a work one first with the Mibbinbah gathering. That's happening in May. Probably personally, yeah, we want to do some travel. We've got a caravan now, so
A
we
little
can.
birdie told me you had a caravan, so
Yes, correct. So getting ready for retirement.
no, you will never retire.
Oh wow. Yeah, so yeah, do a bit around, a bit here and there, just to more a bit about self-care and quality time and yeah, that sort of stuff. But yeah, just
It's
life
beautiful.
is life, and just trying to think. There was another issue I saw on social media. Oh, just around the we said it in our talk before. Just around the love hate ladder of violence stuff. The young fella on there, and he said, not everybody hates Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
Yeah.
Not everybody hates non-Indigenous people. Not everybody hates our diverse community with our migrants and that are here. But it comes back to understanding, like you were saying before, around
Definitely.
understanding the issues. Yeah, there is going to be some of that stuff, but just the debate around Aboriginal culture on social media, there's just so much, well, I'm going to say lateral violence, but violence in general, it's just like, yeah, so much hate. So,
Yeah.
it's probably to the point where, I don't interact. I mean, I have an opinion on things, but, it's that fear of being attacked by saying the wrong thing. And,
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
so, but, we all got to understand that we all have different upbringings, we all have different lifestyles. But I always say in my personal and professional life, it doesn't matter how much you have or how little you have, we're all humans and we're all equals. But I do stand proud and tall when it comes to, understanding Aboriginal families and issues.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've still got. I'm listening to what you're saying, but I've still got CJ saying that he's on here. So I just want to send him a link. Just to, obviously he hasn't got the same link that we're talking about. So let me just do this for him and see what happens. Because I don't know what else we can do, but. We've never had that. I don't think we've ever had that issue before. We've had, guests not being able to get on, but we certainly haven't had CJ not being able to get on. So
Maybe it's a sign.
maybe it is. Maybe it's JB and EA
Yes,
check
yes,
in. Yes.
yes. That's it. What else was I was talking about the other day? Because I love talking.
I think you're very good at it. I think you explain yourself very well. We have got a few people on here, but no comments as yet. So,
Yeah, I think Eddie Moore has got one there.
oh, Eddie's there, is he?
Yeah.
What did he have to say? I'll have to. I
I
can't
don't
see
know if I
that.
can do it. I'm too scared to touch my
No, go on. Oh, here we
No.
go. Here we go. Oh, Eddie Moore. Exactly. We don't need everyone to say sorry. It's about acknowledgement and accountability. Yeah. How are you, brother Eddie? Thank you for that. Yeah, really good. I mean, that's what Lizzie and I were both talking about. It is about acknowledgement and accountability, and like it's not about saying this is your fault. You need to take care of it, but it is about understanding and acknowledging the importance of it, you know. So
Yeah.
and what
I
else?
think he's got something with the welcome to country, which just triggers something. If I can just say
And
that,
can I just read his message out, and then
yeah,
we'll
sure.
get on to that. Yeah, he said the meaning and importance of welcome to country, an acknowledgement of country. I've been following recent discussions about welcome to country, and have noticed some misconception. Questions like, why do I need to be welcome to my own country? Why do we do this for? Why don't we do this for other communities? Often come up. A welcome to country isn't. Sorry, I'm just losing it here. I've just lost it. So
That's why I won't touch it. See? Oh, there you go. It's on the screen now.
yeah, I don't know how I did that either, but yeah, that's the first time that's ever happened. So, but a welcome to country isn't about welcoming someone to the whole of Australia. It's a cultural protocol where traditional owners or custodians welcome people into their specific lands and acknowledges their deep, continuous connection to land, water, and yeah. So, and that's what we were saying before, Lizzie. You know, so yeah.
And I may and Eddie might, have a bit of an answer. So another question that I'm asked quite a lot throughout my different industries that I'm involved in is, non-Indigenous people and Aboriginal people actually. They ask, oh, how many times do you have to do acknowledgement to country? Like some people do it around their staff meetings. Some people. So when do you do it? Is it only at a significant time, or is it before? So and I think like some people can have probably even myself, you have different teams and different meetings in one day, and depending on that meeting, the people will do acknowledgement, but if it's in the one organisation and you're having different meetings all day, did I say that in a sensible, understanding way?
100%. Yeah, no, look, 100%. And I mean, like, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter where I'm. If we're conducting a workshop or a program or even a meeting or a teams meeting, I always acknowledge country. So it's something that I suppose is a personal preference. I just think it's beautiful to be able to acknowledge country, when we're not on country, and pay tribute to, those traditional custodians. So I don't think there's any big deal, like what do you lose out of it? What, 30 seconds or so, so.
Yeah. So, so it's sort of, they're the sort of questions that get thrown around, in the different industries I work in and mix in. So,
well, I mean, you work in some pretty high-powered environments as well. So, what's the sort of feeling around, around those areas, in that upper, well, not upper, but in that, like, that government sort of space, and all that. I've got CJ here. I'm going to put him on, and I'm going to see what he's up to. Hello, brother CJ.
Hey, Bunch, how you going?
Good. How you going?
Oh, good. I just clicked on that link.
Yeah.
The bottom one, the one that you just sent me. Yeah, I'm on there.
Well, I can't see you, brother, because I've got Lizzie here. Say hello to Lizzie.
Hey, Lizzie.
Hey, CJ.
How you going?
Yeah, good, thanks.
So,
sad that you're not on.
Yeah, I've just clicked on the link that Jack just gave me, but what's going on? Know what's going on with that?
I might ask LB to send you. That's the link that I got off Restream. So
yeah, it looks like the same one as I was on before. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Oh. Well, it worked for me, and I'm computer illiterate, so.
Did you?
Yeah.
You might have to just join in the conversation, brother.
I might have to. Let's have a look.
What am I doing?
we got CJ there, but the link that we sent Lizzie is not working for CJ. But yeah,
All right. How are you, CJ?
Yeah, good, thanks.
She'll sort him out.
she'll sort him out. She'll give him a little push. Us. Yeah. No, look. But getting back to what we were talking about, it is a pretty serious conversation that, I think it needs to be had. The question I wanted to ask you was, it was about, like how they take it in those government sort of places and those sort of things. How do they take it there?
Yeah, no, the people I deal with take it very seriously, and they will, do acknowledgement and or welcome. Depending on the occasion, they may, do the big welcome and dances and the smoking ceremony. But in board meetings, they take it quite seriously. And I've just seen Eddie's got up there, acknowledgement of country doesn't need to be done every time we have a cup of coffee. It should be for significant events. And I think, when you're sitting at the state table with ministers and director generals and stuff, I think that's a significant event. Local and regional level, it's done. And some people, go have their welcome written in their reconciliation plans, and then that becomes what it is, so that the organisation is all saying the same thing, particularly if it's a non-Indigenous person that is saying it. If there's an Aboriginal person or Torres Strait Islander person in the room, they may ask them to do acknowledgement. So it's probably
it's probably each to their own, though. I mean, acknowledgement of country doesn't need to be done every time we have a cup of coffee. Yeah, no, look, I agree, brother Eddie. I mean, it should be significant events, but I mean, I suppose it's different things for different people, and I suppose you don't need to do a welcome to country every time, but I think just like a 30-second acknowledgement doesn't hurt to just acknowledge whose country we are on. So
it's sort of a bit like people when you do your minute silence or you do a moment of silence, to pay your respect. And I mean, I don't know why people question it, because if it's a part of our everyday life, that's what you do,
Yeah, mate, and look, if you seriously look at some of the shit that's on social media, I mean, if you take things personally and those sort of things, I mean, you wouldn't go back there, because I mean, it's pretty hurtful stuff that's been said. So, I guess what we need to do is not take things personally and try and overcome it with education and with love, I suppose. So, because as all three of us have said here, like Eddie, yourself, and I, it's not about welcoming to Australia, but it's about understanding about the different countries or mobs, if you like, in Australia, and taking a look at that and being able to understand that a little bit better, I guess. So.
I just thought that generate some
really interesting
conversation.
Do you think another question? Do you think since the referendum, do you think it's got worse around that sort of stuff, or has it just come up over sporting events and things like that?
Look, Jack, I'd probably say both. When it was sort of it probably both are impacting on those discussions, but they're being discussed for the wrong reasons, if that's fair to say. Does that make sense? So
Yeah, definitely. And Eddie's got another comment there. He said, I think if organisations have Aboriginal staff, the burden shouldn't be on the Aboriginal staff member to do the acknowledgement. Non-Aboriginal staff should do an acknowledgement to country. That's not just a tick and flick. It needs to be heartfelt, authentic and genuine. Yeah, look, I agree, Brother Eddie. I mean, definitely. I mean, it's something that it has to be authentic. It has to be genuine. And and you're spot on. It can't be just a tick and flick. So, yeah, thank you.
yeah, and look, Eddie's just used all my terminology there, you know, and the biggest one I always use is genuine. It's not a tick in the box for me, and that's around anything, you know, whether one organisation that I am involved with and I look after their
Oh, hang on. I think we've got sorry. I think
You're
we've got CJ here somewhere. Here he is. The man. Here he is. We got him.
Good work.
Good work, LB and CJ.
I want to pay rise you two.
LB just said she wants a pay rise off you, CJ. Now we can't hear you.
is on mute.
Oh, there you, is that better?
That's better, brother. Good to see your smiling face.
Hey, well, I'm good to see my smiling face too, and yours. Lag, though.
I know what was I saying, Jack?
We're just having a bit of an interesting conversation here about acknowledgement and welcome to country, brother. So I don't know if you've heard any of it, but Lizzie got some really good points, and Brother Eddie Moore's on there, and he's talking about a few different things around acknowledgement and welcome to country. So, yeah.
I'm just reading some of the comments, yes.
What's your thoughts, brother?
I'm just reading through it. Yeah, well, I've always kind of said that, you know, and I don't really correct me if you think I'm wrong. I probably am wrong, but I always thought that acknowledgement to country, especially for me when I go to other people's country or they come to my country, is something that we do. You know, we acknowledge country or welcome to country, all that sort of stuff. As Aboriginal people, we, you know, at the least, we should do that as Aboriginal people. You know what I mean? Whatever, you know, if non-Aboriginal people want to follow suit, that's great. If they don't, that's okay. You know what I mean? But I think it's about. I said it to a session that wasn't an Aboriginal kind of gathering. I just acknowledge that I'm on someone else's country, you know, and of course I'm Aboriginal. You know, I think that's my take on it. It's really, you know, up to the individuals, I suppose, the organisations that, you know, who want to acknowledge country, that's fine. But for me, it's really about letting, you know, people know, countrymen, that, you know, I'm talking to countrymen, the country where I'm standing, let people know that I acknowledge that, you know, I am in Aboriginal country. So it's something that I guess that for me, and my belief is that this has happened forever, you know, in terms of other Aboriginal people coming to other Aboriginal people, other country, you know. We do that, yeah.
Yeah, and I was sorry.
You go.
I know. I was going to say before when we were talking around, you know, organisations and, you know, in particular with Eddie saying around the, you know, non-Aboriginal staff should do acknowledgement to country too. One of the organisations that I'm involved in, we actually, and I chair the RAP committee, but it's actually co-chaired between myself and another non-Indigenous director, so that it's you know, and she was quite keen to be able to learn some different stuff off me, and yeah, so I think that works. It's a you know, both are there to do you know, ensure that they're implementing the RAP plan, and that the acknowledgement and welcomes are done appropriately and where needed. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's right. And I guess that's the essence of reconciliation. I guess you know what I mean. So it's about understanding. It's about acknowledging where you are at the moment. You could be standing on people. You know what I mean. It's really
Yeah.
important that this is where we're at, and especially if you have, like you say, organisations that's signed up for reconciliation action plan. I guess that they're going down that path. They need to know exactly what's happening. What's happened in that part of the land, and with the people of that land as well. So I think that's important. And not everyone signs up for reconciliation action, but definitely those that do, they're wanting to know more, that truth telling stuff. So I think they're wanting
Yep.
to know more. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that's sort of some of the stuff I've sort of seen around social media, and some of and I was just saying too, Jay, about some of the lateral violence of our people attacking each other on social media about our culture, what's right, what's wrong, and it gets a bit like personal, and it's pretty.
And it really does make it hard, because I mean, I know I follow the AFL, and some of the shit that comes up there about welcome to country and all that sort of stuff. I mean, there was a meme up there today about the AFL are just gonna put out that there's going to be a welcome to country at every quarter, at every interval in each game. You know what I mean? It's just
crazy.
It's madness. I mean, it's seriously. I mean, there's if you want to have a serious conversation, let's have it. But if you're going to talk absolute rubbish, why even entertain the thought about having that conversation? Because there's just people there that want to try and create some sort of drama around this, and and I guess the other thing is too that when there is a welcome at special events and that, why shouldn't the elders and the traditional custodians be paid for that? You hear and you see all this sort of comments around they shouldn't be paid, or doing this or that, but everyone else gets paid for what they do, so why shouldn't a traditional custodian be paid for welcoming people to their country? I mean, I think it's a no-brainer, to be honest. I mean,
yeah, you're right, mate.
Yeah.
No, Eddie just said ridiculous at each quarter. If that's the case, it devalues the significance of a welcome to country. But no, Eddie, it was actually a meme, and it was I think it was a April Fool's joke or whatever. But I mean, it's pretty hurtful to people that are you got no comeback in it. You're not going to win a conversation with idiots like that. So
so probably just one other thing, and I see Eddie said he's loving this conversation. Yeah, me too, Eddie. The other thing that's probably big or gets thrown around a little bit around the cultural stuff is cultural authority. So, what does it mean? So if you were to look it up, it actually said the ability for certain individuals, groups, or institutes to shape perceptions of reality and influence cultural values and practices. It's big in some of the areas that I'm working in, and I would say, if we look at our family and child wellbeing services we provide, like who determines who holds cultural authority? Me personally, my view would be if it's in a family situation, the family would have somebody who speaks on their behalf, but they, they do have the lived experience. They, they're given that role. But then who would, if you work in the department or you work in Goulbury or the Jaden Adams Foundation, Mibbinbah, they come and ask us for cultural advice, then who would be the cultural authority person to do that? Am I explaining it right?
Yeah, 100%. I'm loving the discussion, and I think it opens it. I think it's probably going to open a can of worms here because like you even go to what is an elder, I suppose, and it's different for different mobs, and the cultural law and that I suppose some people make themselves at times, call themselves elders. They call themselves cultural lawman, if you like, or whatever. I mean, and I think you're spot on. I mean, how do we define it? I mean, it's something that's a really interesting conversation, I think. So
yeah, and it's probably a big one, but it's actually real and now, because that's some stuff that we're dealing with. It even at our state level, it's saying like, so well, who holds the cultural authority to speak on behalf of Lizzie Adams? It's like and so I mean, and Jack, going on what you were saying, like around the self-appointed elders and what are elders, and how do you define that? While I don't claim myself as an elder, but I do have a lot of people who call me auntie. Now, some people get offended when they're called auntie. I think it's a blessing somebody wants to call me auntie, and I have a lot of people who call me auntie. But yeah, it's how do you define it, and then who defines it? Or does it go back to different areas, and the cultural acknowledgements? It's all that stuff. I've been in a situation where I didn't call somebody auntie in a meeting, and she sort of said, so why didn't you address me as auntie? And I said, well, because you're not my auntie. And she said, yes, but I'm an elder in my community. And I said, well, yeah, but I know you in another light where I called you sister. So how do I go from sister to auntie? Because they've been appointed and recognised as an elder in their community. So there's,
it's very difficult, isn't it, Liz? It's very difficult. And
I wasn't being disrespectful. I just didn't know that person in that light, or in that. It was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Did I get upset? No, I didn't, because I felt I was within my right. And I think that's the thing. I find a lot of non-Indigenous people, they, whether it's out of respect, I'm assuming it's out of respect, but a lot like refer to me in different meetings as auntie, and Auntie Lizzie, and does it upset me? No, again, it's a bit of an honour, but if you don't like it, let them know. So, but I don't know whether it's how they were raised to, or is it because everybody calls everybody auntie? I call everybody sister and brother. So,
so do I. But I think, Lizzie, with that, I think with your standing in community, I think that you being called Arnie is just out of total respect. I wouldn't see it any other way. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I mean, CJ might have different thoughts on it, but that's how I see it. And you know,
yeah. No, Lizzie, you're a leader. You know, obviously you're a leader of your own community, especially leading that organisation that you do lead. I mean, it's really important that you know that it's really important when you're thinking about who is a leader in the community. Now you might be, you know, as we all know, you might be the leader of an Aboriginal health organisation. That's great, you know what I mean? But then there's all this other stuff that comes up, and you know, like you're saying, it's very difficult to navigate it unless you've got, you know, the other thing on the flip side, I suppose, is the Aboriginal land councils, for instance, you know, who's got all that research behind them to be able to understand who's who. You know, whether people are from that country or they're not from that country, they're probably still researching, and this is going to go on for a long time. Only because a lot of our people were displaced, you know, they were sent to other parts of the country and they come back, you know, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, like Geddy's saying, it's a big can of worms, really. It's really difficult to understand that kind of, you know, that kind of, what did you say? It was kind of like a authority, isn't it? It's kind of like someone who's got the authority to be able to speak on behalf of, you know, country, or like you on your organisation, you know, that type of stuff. Yeah.
I guess too, CJ, where does that come from? Where does that, you know, where do you get that cultural significance, if you like, to be able to speak on your country's behalf, on your mob's behalf, where some people take it into their own being, I suppose, and they want to be called uncle, they want to be called auntie, they want to talk for their mob, and they haven't been given that right. And I think and I understand it's going to be different for all our mobs. I mean, definitely, but it is something that really worth talking about, because we're always interested in you know, like what you said, Lizzie, about, you know, like you call me auntie, or someone didn't call me auntie, or, you know, or uncle, or whatever it is. But you know, it's something that's a personal preference as well. And I know from working with you, Lizzie, that everyone that would be calling you auntie is out of total respect. So
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, but it's just one of those, and you know, you can align that with the cultural authority stuff. Isn't that?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Sure. No, it's quite interesting, and you know, you do wonder sometimes, and you know, because you know, as you know, Lizzie, me and Jack would travel all over the place, so you know, we're no authority on that particular country that we're working on. You know what I mean? So, but then we still have to find who is. You know, we still have to find who is. You know, who do I need to speak to? Let them know I'm here, so they know that I'm here, but also why I'm here. You know, it's really important that we go through that process of saying hello. I'm here because I'm working in health, all that kind of stuff. And they need to know, you know, I think it's a bit of a very disrespectful for them to find out later on, oh, there's a fellow that was here, he's gone now, you know.
Because I always make it very clear when I'm speaking, and when I do that stuff, that, you know, I'm speaking from my lived experience, my perspective, and I'm not speaking on behalf of all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, because, you know, one thing again on social media is like, you know, she don't represent me, or he's not the same what I want him to say, and all that sort of stuff. But like I said, I just do the bit of a protection stuff, and if I'm not happy with, you know, the social media stuff, that when they're talking about all this cultural stuff, I just keep swiping, you know, I just scroll on. But there's still some very good people giving very good information on there too.
I think that's really good advice, Lizzie, and You know, if you don't like what you're seeing, keep scrolling, because there's no point getting into a scrap about it, because I mean, there's a lot of keyboard warriors out there that will just keep coming and coming and coming. So, you know, like we know who we are, we know what we're doing, and we know the good work, and we know, I suppose we know the truth. I mean, we learn, we're learning every day. So, you know, but, you know, I think that, you know, if we can all stick together and, you know, being with each other, working together in collaboration, I think it goes a long way to rectifying some of the hurt that's put out there, I guess. So,
Yeah.
but Eddie said being an elder isn't about demanding respect. It's about earning respect, and couldn't agree more, brother Eddie. And he said being an elder isn't. Oh,
Yes, he
he wrote it twice there.
he had a
Very
typo in
important.
there.
Yeah. But yeah, look, I mean, and yeah, it does. I mean, and it's something that's close to all three of our hearts, and you know, you know, I'm gonna go back to the acknowledgement. You know, like for me, if I'm at a meeting, I'm gonna acknowledge country. So be prepared if you're in the meeting with me, because that's what I'm gonna do. So it doesn't take long to do. So
No, that's right.
Yeah, and you know, Eddie's got a point there. And I've always said that, you know, I've never called myself a leader. Never call myself a leader. That's someone else's opinion. Okay, I just do stuff. I just get in and do stuff. You know, for all my community, for my family, and all that sort of stuff. And if people want to call me a leader, that's great. I can't. You know, anyone that goes up and says, "Oh, I'm a leader," is really not a leader, because you know, that's a self opinion of yourself. It's not anyone else's opinion. It's just yours. You know, so you can also say that about. Yeah, that's right. You know, and it's kind of sounds a bit weird, I think, but you know, and you do it too, Lizzie. I know that you don't say that you're a leader, but people call you auntie out of respect, you know, and you feel a bit awkward about that. I feel awkward about it when they say, "But you're a leader, Charlie." And I say, "Yeah, hold on, pull it up a bit," you know. I just go and do stuff. I go and do stuff, but you know, you can call me whatever you want, but you know, I certainly don't think that I am that yet. You know, I'm not. I don't know when I'm going to be there. It's kind of like leadership is like what Eddie is saying, that you know, people, it's a respect. You know, they respect who you are, what you've done. So it's great to feel that way, even though we might not think we are. You know, we kind of earned that title, if you like. You know, it's just something that we don't call ourselves. Yeah.
No, that's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Just get in and do the job, like you said, and
get in and do the job. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, some people try to take the shortcut.
Yeah.
Do nothing, and you know,
and they'll always be there, brother. They'll always be there.
Yeah, that's what I do. So,
that's it. I always say, you got your lovers, you got your likers, and you got your haters. But you know what? Just keep doing what you're doing.
True.
Yeah.
And I guess that's interesting too, isn't it? Because you know, like the stuff that you do, there shouldn't be any haters, because it's not what it's meant for. But if you look at it in reality, those haters aren't actually hating on you; they're hating on themselves because of what they've done or what they're doing at the time. So I think it makes a big difference, and I think, you know, again, the best thing is not to take it personally. So I just think it really is. So
yeah.
So, CJ, I'm going to ask you a question. What have you been up to, brother?
Mate. Oh, look, we've been. I'm leaving country very soon. It's on the 15th. I'm heading for Bali for 4 months, and then we're going.
You're going to another country.
I'm going to another country. Yeah. Yeah, certainly am. And then we're heading to Spain in September. So early September, we'll head to Spain for about a year, I think. So it's
For a year. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, well, Michelle, my wife, she's got to have some surgery over there. So at least she's got lipedema, Lizzie. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with it. Lipedema. Yeah. So the only way they can, with people who've been diagnosed with lipedema, is really to get it removed. So that's what the surgeries are all about.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll be her support worker. Yeah.
Deadly.
Yeah, I know. I don't know whether I'm ready for it or not. I reckon
You could be in trouble. You could be in trouble, brother.
I know it's dealing with all those ups and downs, and although I don't know, there's always vino, brother. Over in Spain, so I might have to have one or two to as a
Well,
medication only.
I'm just going to ask you, CJ, because you've been off the
I know.
alcohol for a fair while now. How long?
5 years.
5 years.
5
Wow.
years.
Yeah,
Wow.
2020. Yeah.
Hang on. I wouldn't think it's 5 years. We just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, JB and CJ.
Correct. That's right.
But I reckon it was a little bit after that. I reckon I'll give you 4.5.
4.5 will do. Yeah. Okay.
You know better than me.
I know. Yeah. I think I gave it up on the
Go
19th.
5. Go 5. Get the other half for the great effort.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Amazing.
Just got to look after. Yeah, just got to look after and make sure that she recovers well. We might go and see a bit of the country. Might go up in one of those bands, like a RV or something, Lizzie, and do a bit of touring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and recover, during the recovery, going to look at some places. So yeah, but Bali for the first 4 months. So we've just been, JB. We went down to Brisbane. We were supposed to go down to Brisbane on the 7th of March when the cyclone hit Brisbane. So we couldn't go down. So we postponed it until last week, and we got there and it was raining again. So we just soldiered on and got everything out. We got rid of a lot of stuff, whole shed full of stuff, and it was rain till Friday. Then Saturday we finished on Friday, and Saturday came, it got sunny. I couldn't believe it. I said, what the heck? So anyway, we got it all done. We did what we had to do down there, and now we're up here doing the same thing. We haven't got back to it.
So what date are we looking at, brother?
We're leaving on the 15th.
15th, yeah.
15th of April. Oh,
15th of April.
Hope everything goes well.
Yeah, no, it should do. Lizzie, yeah. I'm just looking forward to waking up on the 16th and just doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because we've been fairly busy, it's just busy. But
bye, Eddie.
Can I just jump in there before Eddie goes? He said, apart from running my own business, I also lecture at university. Everyone thinks I'm an expert. I tell people that I don't know everything, so don't think I'm an expert. Well said, brother. And then he said, love you guys, got to go. I'd like to chat with you all again sometime. Brother Eddie, we'd love to have you on here. Come on and have a yarn with us. We'd love that. So
yeah, definitely.
Certainly. We'll be in contact, brother. Thank you, Eddie, and good night.
Yeah, so 3:30, mate, after I get over there, it'll be 3:30 for me logging on. I'm just getting all my time zones right,
Yeah.
We're still going, but
I look, CJ, we've worked with that a lot over the last 5 years. We've been in different places over time and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it won't matter. We'll keep it going and we'll see what we can do, eh?
Absolutely.
You never know. 10 years it might be.
Holy dooly. I'll be on the other side of the world. Anyway, we'll see.
You won't.
Yeah. See if I get some Spaniards to get on.
Yeah, that's right. Not much good for me. I won't be able to understand them.
And no one can understand us anyway. So
yeah, no one understands me. Ask Lizzie. Look at Lizzie.
Oh my.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So a bit happening around, and keep my finger on the pulse a little bit with all this stuff, and probably through my time, I just if you can, you're not going to change attitudes, but if I can make 10 people culturally safe, sensitive, and understanding and aware of, why there is a difference, then I'd probably, leave this earth as a happy woman, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Lizzie, I've got to ask you a question. This is a work question. So, and I've been involved with AMSs all over the place. I've been with Yui and Quake and all that kind of thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't actually have traditional healing in our Aboriginal medical services, do we?
No, not in Queensland.
No, yeah. So I just wonder a bit, hey?
Gulbury has access to some.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, that's really interesting because, I think that there may be, some opportunities there, I guess, and I know, like Mibbinbah, for instance, with fellows who are coming in with, depression and all sorts of problems, that healing happens in those camps that they do, those gatherings that they have, all that sort of stuff, so, yeah, it's always interesting because, I often wonder, okay, Aboriginal health, we call ourselves Aboriginal medical services, but, and I've gone to places where there's still traditional healers,
Yeah. Gulbury's doing a bit of research into that, as to why and if we, how do we, get it into our services like other states do. So I guess it's, a bit time consuming, but we're working.
The work in progress. Yeah, work in progress. That's great. Yeah, well, that's good to know that it's on the agenda because, I'd love to be able to go. I go when I go over to other countries. JB would have gone to them as well, to a healer overseas, just to have a session with them because just, I think that, it's more that traditional type of healing that, away from the Western style, whatever you call it. You know what I mean? It's kind of, and I think there's not only a need, but also there's a market for it. We now have people having all that, what's that marijuana stuff that doesn't, that's
medicinal,
yeah, alternative medicine, if you like, you know what I mean, treatments and stuff. So it's kind of, I always think about that when I think, well, Aboriginal medical service, well, geez,
I'd like to jump in there too and just say, like there is alternatives to, that we need our Western clinical model, no doubt. I mean, you would never say don't utilise that, but there's also other different avenues that we can use to be able to heal our mobs as well, and I think that's really it's something that people probably need to get used to because there's so many different healers out there, like that are able to help and with our mobs. So yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, no, it's kind of.
All right.
Granted that we don't get all our funding from, we get it all from the government, I guess. So it's kind of like, how do we deliver that if it doesn't meet our KPIs?
Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, look, and it's certainly, look, there's been some really good topics here tonight. And I think that's another one that would be really good to have a yarn about. So,
yeah, for sure. No, wonderful.
Yeah. Good to see you, Lizzie.
Lizzie, thank you so much for coming on again. I mean, I think this is your third or fourth time you've been on over the 5 years.
Over the 5 years.
No, be close to it, like through the 5 years. So, we do appreciate your time and coming on to have a yarn. And I think there's a lot of people got a lot of things out of what you said tonight. I mean, just spot on with what you say as you always are. And it was good to have Eddie's input as well. And so just thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And thank you, CJ. Thank everyone else.
All good, brother. All good.
And till next week, Wednesday, 5:30, we have Adam Wooding coming on to have a yarn as well. So we love Adam as much as we love Lizzie, I think. Just about. Anyway. We probably can't love him that much. So
No, that's correct.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
for CJ, safe travels, and I hope everything works out for you. A lovely wife, and
Yeah.
keep us
Yeah.
posted. That'd be lovely.
Yeah, it's always a bit of a journey, you know, a bit of a, what do you call it, next, where do we go, adventure, I guess, you know, type of stuff.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah,
one's really
definitely,
important.
brother.
This
And
one's
thank
really
you,
important
Jack.
for both of us. Yeah.
Thanks, Jack, for always believing in what I do and how I do stuff, and being there when I need a bit of a debrief and that stuff too. You know, it's important to have beautiful people around you, and keeps me grounded. So thank
Same
you.
goes for you, and the same goes for you, CJ. So I mean,
Cheers,
we've got to
mate.
have those our little support networks around us. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you guys.
Wonderful.
Love you
Thank
both,
you.
and good night, everyone else,
Thanks,
and love
everybody.
everyone else as well. Have a good week.
Bye.